Welcome to Cheap Talk, the podcast that dives deep into life's little dilemmas. Ever felt that awkward shuffle starting a new relationship? Like, you're excited but also kind of terrified of saying the wrong thing? You're not alone.
Oh, totally. It's that weird mix of butterflies and, oh my God, what do I do with my hands? It's like suddenly you're hyper aware of everything.
Exactly. And this input we're looking at calls it the awkward stage. Apparently, it's a real thing. This person wrote in to Know Yourself saying they were so excited to finally be in a relationship, couldn't sleep the first night, then bam! Awkwardness city, population, them and their new partner.
Yeah, I've been there. It's like you build up this whole fantasy in your head and then reality hits, and it's not quite the rom-com you envisioned. So is this a bad sign? Like, should you just bail?
Well, according to this article, not necessarily. It's super common, especially if you're new to the dating scene or have had some less than stellar experiences in the past. It's basically your brain on high alert, trying to figure out if this person is worth the risk.
Makes sense. You're kind of putting yourself out there, vulnerable. So what's the deal with all the awkwardness? Why does it happen?
Simply put, you don't know each other that well yet. You're still learning about each other's likes, dislikes, values, everything. And meanwhile, there's this pressure to be all cutesy and coupley, even though inside you're screaming, I barely know this person.
Ha. So true. It's that whole performing aspect, right? Trying to make a good impression. You don't want to let your real weird self out just yet.
Yeah, and that's where the awkwardness comes from, this fear of being judged, of having your perfect image crumble. The more you worry about what they think, the more you hold back, and the more awkward it gets. It's a vicious cycle.
Oh, for sure. But hold on. This article says awkwardness can actually be good. Is that right?
Yeah, apparently. It's a sign you want to connect deeper, to be known. It's just that self-doubt creeping in. And like, Freud even chimed in on this whole thing way back when, saying awkwardness is actually a defense mechanism, suppressing your desire to be truly seen. Whoa. Freud. Deep stuff. So what can you do about it? How do you break free from the awkwardness and, actually enjoy the honeymoon phase? Well, they have some tips. First off, talk about it. Tell your partner you're feeling awkward. Chances are they are too. It can actually be a bonding experience.
Oh, that's a good idea. Get it out in the open. So what else?
Don't try to be someone you're not. Authenticity is key. The sooner you let your true self shine, quirks and all, the better. Share those weird little secrets. Embrace the vulnerability.
Right. Because hiding who you are is exhausting, and eventually it's going to come out anyway. Better to be upfront from the beginning. What about those times when the awkward silence just descends? Any advice for navigating that?
Physical touch. A hug, holding hands, even a light touch on the arm can build connection and ease tension. And just smile. Seriously, it works wonders.
I see. Interesting. It's about creating that sense of closeness, of safety. Anything else?
Don't drop everything else in your life. Maintain your hobbies, see your friends, have your own thing going on. A healthy relationship needs space to breathe.
Absolutely. You've got to keep your own identity, your own life, and finally become friends. The best relationships have a strong foundation of friendship. So if you're not already friends, start building that bond. It's all about finding that balance between romantic love and good old-fashioned friendship and realizing that a little awkwardness is totally normal.
So we were talking about navigating that initial awkward stage in a new relationship and how important it is to, just be yourself. But what if yourself is, well, kind of a mess? Like, what if you come from a family where expressing emotions is about as common as a unicorn sighting?
Ooh, that's a good point. Like, if vulnerability wasn't exactly modeled for you growing up, it's like, how do you even start being vulnerable with someone new if it feels completely alien?
Exactly. This whole be yourself thing can be a lot harder than it sounds, especially if you come from, shall we say, an emotionally reserved family. There's this whole other layer of awkwardness. It's not just about the new relationship, it's about your own history, your own baggage.
Right? It's like you're trying to learn a new language, the language of emotional intimacy, but you never even heard it spoken at home. You're basically starting from scratch.
Totally. And it can be so frustrating because you want to connect, you want to share, but it feels like there's this invisible wall up. You might even feel ashamed of your own awkwardness, adding another layer to the whole mess.
Oh, absolutely. Shame is a big one, especially if your family, wasn't exactly the poster child for healthy communication. Like if expressing emotions was seen as weakness or something to be swept under the rug, that can really mess with your ability to connect with others later on in life.
For sure. And, it's not your fault. It's not like you chose to grow up in that environment. But the good news is you can learn these skills. It takes time and effort, but it's definitely possible to build those emotional muscles, even if you didn't get the best training early on.
So where do you even begin? Like, if you're used to keeping everything bottled up, how do you start opening up to someone, especially in a new relationship where everything already feels so, precarious?
Well, I think self awareness is a good starting point. Recognize those moments where you're feeling awkward or holding back, and ask yourself why. What's the fear behind it? Is it the fear of judgment, the fear of rejection, the fear of being seen as, too much?
Yeah, that makes sense. Understanding the root of the awkwardness is key to overcoming it. So once you've identified the fear, what's next? How do you actually start breaking down those walls?
Baby steps. Start small. Share something a little personal. See how your partner reacts. If they respond with kindness and understanding, it can encourage you to open up a little more next time. It's all about building trust, and that takes time.
Right. And it's not just about verbal communication either, is it? Like, physical touch can be a really powerful way to connect, especially if you're not used to talking about your feelings.
Oh, absolutely. A hug, holding hands, even just a light touch on the arm can create a sense of closeness and safety, which can make it easier to be vulnerable. It's like a nonverbal way of saying, hey, I'm here for you.
Totally. And I think it's important to remember that vulnerability is a two-way street. It's not just about you opening up, it's about creating a space where your partner feels comfortable being vulnerable too. It's a shared experience.
So, we've talked about the awkward stage when you're first dating someone, right? But what about when things get really real, like when you actually define the relationship? That can be a whole other level of awkward, yeah?
Oh, totally. It's like suddenly there are labels: boyfriend, girlfriend, partner. It's exciting, but also a lot of pressure. Like, are we even using the same dictionary for these words?
Exactly. And then there's this whole new set of expectations, unspoken rules, like how often do you text? Who pays for dinner? Do you meet each other's friends? It's a minefield.
It's like navigating a whole new social landscape with like zero signage. You're just kind of stumbling around, hoping you don't accidentally step on a relationship landmine. So, how do you deal with this next level of awkward?
Well, communication, as always, is key. Talk about your expectations. It might feel weird, but it's so much better than making assumptions and ended up disappointed. Like, what does being in a relationship actually mean to each of you?
Right? Because boyfriend or girlfriend can mean totally different things to different people. One person might be thinking, okay, we're exclusive, we're going on dates, maybe meeting the parents soon. And the other person is like, so, does this mean I have to change my Facebook status?
Ha, exactly. And then there's the whole physical intimacy thing. Things can definitely shift after you define the relationship, and it can be awkward navigating those changes. Again, talk about it. What are you both comfortable with? What are your boundaries?
Yeah, because assuming can lead to some seriously uncomfortable situations. It's like you're fumbling around in the dark, hoping you don't accidentally hit the wrong switch. So, communication is key. Got it. Anything else?
Don't overthink it, seriously. It's easy to get caught up in your head worrying about every little thing. But remember, this is supposed to be fun. Enjoy the process of getting to know each other, of building something special.
Right, because if you're constantly analyzing every interaction, every text, every date, you're going to miss out on the actual joy of, being in a relationship. It's like trying to watch a movie while simultaneously writing a review of it. You can't fully enjoy either experience. So, yeah, don't overthink it. And finally, embrace the awkwardness.
Exactly. It's part of the process. It means you care, you're invested, and honestly, sometimes those awkward moments are the ones you'll look back on and laugh about later. They become part of your shared story.
Totally. So, to our listeners out there navigating the early stages of a relationship, remember, a little awkwardness is normal, even healthy. Embrace it, communicate openly, and don't forget to have fun. Thanks for tuning in to Cheap Talk. And for me, personally, keep those conversations flowing and don't be afraid to get a little weird. It's the good kind of weird that builds lasting connections. Until next time.